Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to be sharing with you what I read in January, giving you my ratings, telling you about the books, and that's it. So these are some of my favorite videos to watch. I love to see what people are reading and their thoughts on them and just sharing each other's thoughts. It's my favorite thing to do because it's just so, I love how everybody has different opinions on books, and you can't really judge somebody on their opinion on a book because it's quite literally their opinion. So love these types of videos. Okay, so I have my big tote of what I read, and I'm going to start in order, so like tell you what I read first in January and talk about it. Alrighty, so the first book that I read in January was The Art of Erasing in the Rain by Garth Stein. Okay, so this book is about a dog and his family. It's basically like going through the dog's point of view. So the dog is the narrator, and it just tells you about things about their family. You know, they have some hard things going on in their family, and the main purpose is to just see like a family in a dog's eyes or whatever, I guess. And so I am obsessed with dogs. So I was really excited about this. I just felt like I was going to love it. You know, there are some sad parts in this story. Like, they do go through some family struggles and things like that. So it is sad. However, I could not get through this book like at all, and it surprised me so much. Yes, I read it. I didn't DNF it. I still, something in me just does not let me DNF books, so I did not. But you know, it took me like 2 weeks to finish this book, and I have been averaging like a book every 4 days, so I just didn't ever want to pick it up. I didn't love it. It wasn't my favorite plot, and to be completely honest with you, I would have given this a 1 star if the last 10 pages didn't make me cry. So I ended up giving this a 2 out of 5 stars, and like I said, the last 10 pages, they were sad. I did end up crying, but the whole first, you know, 3/4 of the book, I didn't like at all. Which is really hard for me because, like I said, I am a huge dog lover, and so I just had really high hopes for this book. And everybody I know talks about how much they love this book. So I kind of felt bad, I guess, that I didn't like it, but I just didn't like it. 2 out of 5 stars, and it would have been a 1 if it didn't make me cry. So I don't know. Let me know, because everybody I've talked to absolutely loves this book. I haven't seen the movie. I heard there's a movie, so I might watch it and see if I like it a little bit more after that, but it just wasn't my book, I guess. I could not get through it. I did, though. I did get through it. It just was hard. So that's my thoughts on this. And when I was talking to my friend about it, because she loved it, she gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. She was like, there are like so many sad parts in that story. Like, how do you not like it? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, am I a horrible person for not liking this book? I don't know. I just didn't. I didn't. So that was the first book. Okay. Next book that I read in January, which I was honestly like so upset after reading The Art of Erasing in the Rain. I was like, this is gonna be a horrible month, like reading month for me, but it gets better. So I read The Inheritance Games, The Hawthorne Legacy, and The Final Gambit by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I love this trilogy. Love. So basically, it is about a girl named Avery, and she is in high school. She gets called down to the principal's office one day, and there's some random guy in the office telling her that she needs to come to Texas because she is in his grandfather's will, and they can't read the will until everybody in it is present. And she is like, well, I don't know you, and I don't know your grandfather, so what are you talking about? And he's like, well, I don't know you either, but like, you're in the will, and we need it to be read aloud, so can you come? So she ends up going with her sister Libby, and finds out that she, let me make sure it's on the back of the book. Yeah, she inherits most of this guy's money, and so the whole book is about kind of like riddles and puzzles on her trying to figure out why she was in this man's will. And there is a little bit of like a love triangle, I guess you would say. There is like, don't read this for romance, but there is a tiny bit of romance in it. But it's mainly mystery and just figuring out why she was chosen to be in his will, because she has no idea who he is. So it was really good. After reading The Art of Racing in the Rain, I felt like I was going to be in a slump. If I was, these 3 books immediately took me out of the slump. So super short chapters, just such good books, such good books. I will definitely read this trilogy again, and I will annotate all of them because I just will. And don't judge me, but I am 100% Team Grayson. I feel like everybody's Team Jameson, but I just love Grayson so much. I honestly love Max and Xander, and I want Jennifer Lynn Barnes to make another book of Max and Xander. So hopefully she does, but I don't know. She is making another one called The Hawthorne Brothers, and it's just all about the brothers. So yeah. I guess I should have told you this. There's 4 brothers in it that are the guy who dies his grandchildren, and so they like expect to get the money, and basically she has to live in their house with all of the family, and the whole family's kind of mad because they didn't get a ton of money. So yeah, I hope I explained this okay. But anyways, let's go through my ratings, because I have an unpopular opinion on these books. So first book, I rated a 4 out of 5. I really liked it. It was good. Maybe a tiny bit was missing. That's why I didn't give it a 5. But I gave the Inheritance Games a 4 out of 5. I really liked it. And it was just a good like starting book. So the second one, which is the Hawthorne Legacy. And this is the one that I see everybody give a 5 out of 5. And to be honest, I was going to give it a 3. But the ending was so good. Like the last 100 pages, they were so good, and you could not put the book down. That's how good it was. So I ended up giving it a 4. However, like reading it until you got to that last 100 pages, I felt like it was super slow. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like come on, let's go. But then like I said, the last 100 pages, I read it in like 30 minutes because I could not put it down. I just kept reading it. I actually read this with a friend, but we were supposed to stop with like 100 pages left, and we couldn't. That's how good it was. So that's why I ended up giving it a 4 stars, because the ending was really, really good, and you like couldn't stop reading it. So 4 out of 5. And then my unpopular opinion is The Final Gambit, 5 out of 5. This book is my favorite out of the trilogy, and everyone I see says it's their least favorite. But I felt like Jennifer just did such a good job wrapping the trilogy up. Just, I don't know, it was just so good. Like I could not stop thinking about this book, and I still cannot stop thinking about this book. I cannot wait to read this again and annotate the crap out of it, because it is so good. There's such good quotes. I just loved this book. This was my first 5-star read in 2023, and I cannot get enough of it. I can't wait to reread it. So good. So if you are in a reading slump, I highly, highly recommend the Inheritance Games trilogy, because it is so good. The next book I read was Throw Like a Girl by Sarah Henning, and this is a young adult book. And to be honest, this was not on my TBR. I was actually at Barnes & Noble and saw the front, and I was like, oh, that's cute. Turn it over to the back, and the very first sentence says, when softball star Liv Rodinsky throws one ill-advised but well-deserved punch during the most important game of the year, she loses her scholarship to her fancy private school, her boyfriend, and her teammates all in one fell swoop. And I am a softball coach, and I have never read a book where like the main character is a softball player. So I was like, I have to get this, like have to. And I liked it. So basically it's about this girl Liv, and she goes to a private school. She's playing in a softball game, and like that says, ends up punching another player on another team, loses her scholarship to a private school, and ends up having to go to the school of the girl that she punched. Does that make sense? So she has to go to that school and has to face all of the teammates of that girl, which that girl thankfully graduated, so she doesn't have to face her. But she kind of just has to figure out how to navigate this new school where everybody knows her as punching one of their teammates. And she has to try and earn a spot on the softball team. There is a little bit of a romance in this. I will say I liked this book. It was entertaining. It was fun to read. However, I only gave it a 3 stars because it was a tad bit too a young adult for me, which I can't believe I'm saying because I love young adult. But I don't know, I just felt like there were some immature parts, I guess. So I've never heard anyone talk about this book. Check it out if you're in a reading slump because I do think it is really entertaining, but I just thought it was very mid, if that makes sense. So 3 out of 5 stars. Then I was like, okay, I'm done with mystery. I'm done with romance right now. I'm done with young adult. So I decided to pick up Alice Feeney. And I picked up Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. And wow, this book, insane to say the least, like literally insane. It's about a girl named Amber who got in some type of accident and she is in a coma and she can hear everything that's going on like while she's in the hospital in her coma, but nobody knows that she can hear. And so she basically like is in a coma with people coming in talking about her, and she's trying to put the pieces together on what the accident was because she couldn't remember it. And there's some like random guy, and this is all in the back so I'm not spoiling anything, but there's some random guy that keeps visiting her bedside and she doesn't know who it is, and she's like, what the heck? So really interesting, lots of plot twists in this. I read Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney and I absolutely loved it. And so to talk a little bit about my rating, okay, here's the thing. I liked this book better than Rock, Paper, Scissors, and I rated Rock, Paper, Scissors. So I rated Rock, Paper, Scissors 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, but I enjoyed this more. But I'm rating this one 3 out of 5. And you're probably like, that doesn't make any sense, Kayla. But it does if I explain why. So this book ended horribly. Like, I was so mad at the ending of this book because it kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger. So I feel like there's going to be a sequel to it maybe. And if there's not, then this stays a 3. If there is a sequel, then I'm giving this a 4. And I'm gonna bump it up to a 4. Because I just cannot get over how it ended, and it just leaves you hanging and you're like, what in the world? So if there is a second book to this, I am bumping it up to a 4. If there's not, it's gonna stay a 3 because really, Alice, don't leave me hanging like this. Like, what? So anyways, I do think this is better than Rock, Paper, Scissors, but my rating doesn't show that because of the ending. So hopefully you understand. And the last and final book that I read in January was The Girl He Used to Know by Tracy Garvis Graves, and I annotated the crap out of this book. It was actually the first book I've ever annotated, like the first, you know, fiction book I've ever annotated. So this is about a girl, Annika Rose, and her college boyfriend, Jonathan Hoffman, which I love Jonathan so much. But they dated in college, something tragic happened, and they ended up breaking up. 10 years later, they kind of bump into each other, I think in a coffee shop or some store, and they're like, what in the world, Annika? And she's like, Jonathan. And they kind of rekindle and talk about the past. And so, yeah, they kind of rekindle, I guess, and then something towards the end happens that's like insane. Can't tell you that because then you'll know, but this book is really good. The love story is good, and if I read you like the first paragraph, let me read it to you really quick. Annika Rose is an English major at the University of Illinois, anxious in social situations where she finds most people's behavior confusing. She'd rather be in the library surrounded by books or playing a quiet game of chess. If you have not read this, I'm about to kind of give a tiny spoiler, not a huge one, so beware. Here it comes. Annika is autistic. So the way that Tracy Garvis Graves like portrays Annika is amazing, and I thought it was so powerful because I have never read a book where the character is autistic, and so I just felt like it was such a powerful book. So all right, spoilers are over. But anyways, I'm going to read some of my favorite quotes from this book because they're so good. So let me just, you know. Okay. Annika. She says, I am pretty. I know this for 2 reasons. People have been telling me my whole life, and I own a mirror. So funny. We stan Annika. Okay, I like this one. Do you think Jonathan would have wanted you to change? Doesn't everyone? How could you not want someone to change after they hurt you? Changing how you deal with something is not the same thing as changing how you are as a person. Speak to me, Tracy. Speak to me. I find children more enjoyable than most adults. Same. But, oh, here it is. I simply preferred the company of animals over most humans. If there was one thing I loved almost as much as animals, it was books. Me. Just so many good quotes. The affection I once felt for Annika might have gone dormant for a while, but it roars out of hibernation and makes me feel better about life than I have in a long time. There's something so hopeful about being around her again. So cute. And when they bump into each other, I am all over the place, but when they bump into each other, he is just getting over a divorce and she has never like dated, had a serious relationship, besides Jonathan. So nobody just understands her like he does. I just love Jonathan. He is the perfect book boyfriend. If you want to read a good book about an amazing book boyfriend, read it. I loved this book. Loved. Oh, okay. Last quote. All I wanted was to show you that I've changed, that I'm not the same person I was in college. She sounds defeated. Well, guess what? You haven't changed all that much. You're still the same girl I fell in love with at 22. And here's a newsflash. I like that girl and always have, and I never once said I wanted her to change. I love him. He's so cute. But anyways, going back to this book, as you can tell, I loved it. It is a dual perspective, so it'll go to Annika and then it'll go to Jonathan, and it just kind of gives you their points of views, and then it also goes to past and present. So really good book. When I first finished this, so like the day I finished reading this, immediately was like, it's a 5 stars. A couple of days later, wasn't really thinking about it, so I bumped it down to a 4-star. So 4 out of 5 stars, but it is a really good book. All right, you guys, that is everything that I read in January. I had a very good month. I mean, I read 7 books. Some of these YouTubers are reading like 17, but I can't compare myself to them. Not to mention, I'm a pretty slow reader as it is. And like, if I don't understand a page, I will go back and reread it. So that's just kind of how I am. So anyways, I have some really good books that I'm going to be reading in February. I am reading The Do-Over right now. And then I am reading Harry Potter as well, and I want to make that like a little vlog. I think that would be fun. And then you see some books over here. Those are also part of my February TBR, so I might be filming that video as well. But I had a really good reading month, and I am excited to continue posting about my books, and I think that's it. So anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you read in January, some 5 stars that you read. Always looking for 5 stars. And I had 1 5-star in January. That's crazy. I feel like I'm kind of a tough grader though, to be honest. So this is my 5-star and I stand by that. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, thumbs it up, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. And I will see you guys in my next video, which will probably be a Harry Potter vlog, like reading Harry Potter and watching the movie. So I hope you like that. But that's all I have. So thank you guys for watching. Bye. To wrap this up one more time, 4 stars, 3 stars, 3 stars, 5 stars, 4 stars, 4 stars, 1 star. Bye guys.